Hello and welcome. My name is Christine Nolan, and we have an astrology webinar tonight. Our theme is Mercury in retrograde in Leo. Now, Mercury is a quick moving planet. Mercury moves through the zodiac, all 12 signs of the zodiac, from Aries to Taurus to Gemini, through all 12 signs of the zodiac 3 or 4 times a year. And because it moves through the zodiac so often, so quickly, it also goes retrograde so quickly. And what does that mean? Well, first and foremost, Mercury rules the mind. It's about intellect. It's about communication, of course, because Mercury, of course, is named after the messenger of the gods. So it's about communicating and giving messages, receiving messages. It's about information coming in from source, God, Goddess, Creator, Source, from all different areas of our life. And also listening, speaking, writing, texting, sending email, all forms of communication, and also information processing. The way we process the information as it's coming in, our perception of the message is also ruled by Mercury. But Mercury is not just about information and intellect. Mercury is also about transportation, about technology, about siblings, and about your neighborhood. Mercury is the natural ruler of the third house. And also, in addition to Gemini, it also rules Virgo. And Virgo, let's talk about Virgo for a minute. Gemini is most commonly known with intellect, curiosity, learning, and speaking. Gemini can be very curious and social, but also Mercury rules Virgo. And Virgo rules our sixth house of service. So one of the things that is not talked about very often is how Mercury is the planet of doing good deeds, acts of service. The other thing about Virgo is that they have very high standards. They're a bit of a perfectionist, very practical, organized, color coding, labeling, spreadsheets. Those are all Virgo qualities. And so those things may be impacted when Mercury is in retrograde. All the Gemini themes, all the Virgo themes. And because Mercury rules these two houses, those houses may be impacted when Mercury stations backwards. All good, Annalyn. You just send me your message, your information, your date of birth when you get a chance. Thank you for reaching out. So Mercury runs through the zodiac 3 or 4 times a year. It moves very, very quickly. And because it's a quick moving planet and it's very focused on getting information to the right places, Mercury placements can also be very anxious. And retrograde means that the energy in the atmosphere, our thinking mind, is also a little bit anxiety ridden. I would even say maybe even a little paranoid or anxious or nervous. That is very common for a lot of Mercury placements. I have a lot of placements in Virgo and Gemini, and during retrograde, I do have a little bit more anxiety, which gives me the opportunity to do more yoga and more meditation, which is amazing. And where is Mercury? Mercury is going to be going retrograde in the sign of Leo. Sometimes Mercury will go forward through a sign, enter another sign, go backwards through that sign, and then go backwards into the other sign. But this entire 3-week period, from today, the 17th of July, through August 11th, Mercury will be in Leo. It's starting retrograde in Leo. It's ending retrograde in Leo. And remember, my astrology friends, Mars just went retrograde in Leo. We just did this. Mars is our planet of action, courage, determination, and motivation. So when Mars pulls over on the side of the road and stops, instead of going 90 miles an hour, we notice. So the area of your life, the house in your natal chart that rules Leo, is very important. But this Mercury retrograde is going to be a little easier. 2 reasons. Mars just cleaned house. Mars just went through Leo. It was like 6 months of Mars going through Leo and Cancer, and then Cancer and Leo, forwards and backwards, forwards and backwards. So we've already cleaned house with Mars in the last 12 months. So now Mercury is coming in to really fine tune and make sure that our thoughts are clear in terms of the changes that are being impacted by the Mars and Mercury retrogrades. And we're going to dive in specifically with each person's natal chart. And thank you again to our volunteers. I'd like to read their names off. Bo, Annalyn, T, KP, Andrew, Mary, Catherine, Cassie, and Kate. And thank you to our volunteers. No one wants to listen to me lecture all night. It's much, much better to learn with volunteer natal charts. So before we dive in, I want to talk a little bit about Leo. Who is Leo? Well, Leo rules the fifth house, the natural ruler of the fifth house. And that is the house of creativity, things that we give birth to. Traditionally, it's been the house of children and also the inner child, but it could be like new business ideas, a new side gig, art, anything that's creative, and also taking care of your inner child. Leo is, yes, the king, yes, the queen, donning the crown. Leos are usually very charismatic and regal. If we have 5 or 6 planets in a stellium, like my dad does, you can be a little self-centered and feel like you're the king. My father actually has 5 big planets in Leo, and he's a singer. He actually stands on a dais just like a king and has everybody looking at him while he performs the guitar and sings songs that he writes. 5 planets in Leo. So I know the sign of Leo very, 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 very well. So Leo is very charismatic, but Leo also feels responsibility tremendously. Remember, Leo is on the same axis as Aquarius, and those are the 2 signs, Leo and Aquarius, that take responsibility very, very seriously. Why? Because Leo is the sign of lion, the king of the jungle, the queen of the jungle. And if you are running a kingdom, if there's no food and there's a famine, those are your people starving. If there is a war, those are your people dying. If there's an illness, you feel responsible. And so many people around you are going to look to you and say, what do we do? Because you're the king, you're the queen. And so everyone has Leo in their chart. One of the 12 houses in your natal chart is where Leo is. And that is the house, the area of your life that is being activated. So does anybody have any general questions about Mercury retrograde, the time when we feel the Mercury themes the most, and Leo, the sign of king, lion? Or should we just start doing our charts? Let's dig in. Do I have Bo with me? Bo?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Bo. Thank you for volunteering today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm going to pull up your chart, and then I'm going to hit share screen. And can you confirm that you can see my...
Yes.
Okay, so on the left here, we have the ruling planets for the zodiac, in case you need a reference, the exaltation and the debilitation transits on the right. That's like Jupiter is transiting Cancer right now. He's exalted there. So that's listed here. If you want to see where Mercury is exalted and debilitated, Mercury is exalted in Virgo and Gemini, where he's home. He's debilitated in Pisces. And all the ruling planets are here. The upcoming transits are here on the left, a little short version of what Mercury retro in Leo means. And then here, this is important, we're going to be referring to it a lot during our astrology webinar, is the chart of the moment. This is for Thursday, July 17th. The sun is in Cancer for the next 5 days. Moon is in Aries. Aries is the leader of our zodiac. Aries is brave, like its ruling planet Mars. It can also be impatient, impulsive, fiery, and combustive. We are all Aries. We all have Aries in our chart. And then third on the list, obviously, is Mercury at 15 degrees Leo. In just a few minutes, he has come to a complete stop at 15 degrees, and he's going to start going backwards. Obviously, this is an optical illusion, and it's about the placement of the luminaries, the sun and the moon, and the planets and the asteroids in our skies. So Mercury will be going retrograde from 15 degrees to 14 degrees to 13 degrees, and he will move backwards, reviewing, reviewing, reviewing. And so this will be a time, because Mercury rules the mind, where we're thinking about the past, where people from the past may come back into our life. This is a time to stay curious and also silent, to listen more and to receive all the downloads, all the insight, and all the clarity. Now, Leo is a fire sign. Leo can be fiery, and a king can be very impatient. So if we're triggered because Mercury is in retrograde in Leo, it may, quote unquote, feel like treason, like off of their heads. You might get so frustrated and so fiery because Mercury is in retrograde in Leo that you feel like the people in front of you saying things, triggering you, are committing acts of treason. Honest to God. Treachery. It's going to be an exciting Mercury retrograde, and we're going to learn a lot of lessons. So here on the bottom right, friends, we're using AstroChart software. I like this because of the color, and the color represents the aspects, the relationship between the luminaries, the asteroids, and the planets in our chart. I can see just by looking at this chart that Bo has a yod. Why? Because yods are represented by purple and yellow lines. Yods are a very rare and sacred geometry in our astrology. So she has special blessings. She also has special blessings because of these green lines. Those are trines. And you'll see she has one wonderful, wonderful green line between the 5, Saturn, and 4. Why do I love a line, a green trine line between Saturn and Jupiter? Because Saturn represents hard work. And when Saturn is connected trining Jupiter, that means Bo gets recognized for her efforts and rewarded. Jupiter, indicated by this glyph here that looks like a number 4, that is the sign of abundance and prosperity. And we want to be recognized for our efforts. We don't want to work, 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 and never be recognized and rewarded. So this green line, just glancing at the chart, I see a green line connecting Saturn and Jupiter. I know that Bo works very, very, very hard. She helps a lot of people because her 5 is next to her MC, and that means career. In the sign of Cancer, she's helping people, helping people, helping people. It's right next to her sun. Her sun and her MC connected that close means her career is very important to her. Her career fuels her. It's an important part of her personality. Then we have Mercury here, which means she talks to a lot of people at the office. A lot of people. She has to communicate important information diligently and precisely. Does that resonate, Bo?
Yes, 100%.
So I'm going to, just with a glance of this chart, we can see a lot of information. We also see, of course, the first thing we do when we read an astrology chart is we look at the ascendant. And if this natal chart, if your natal chart was a clock, the ascendant is at 9 p.m. You see this glyph? It says ASC. Her glyph for ascendant is in Libra. Her rising sign is Libra. And look at this, Uranus, the planet of massive unexpected changes, is right next to her ascendant. Her ascendant is at 21 degrees of Libra. That's 2 degrees from her ascendant. I just want to say for the record that my ascendant is also 2 degrees away from Uranus. This is a life filled with major changes, massive unexpected changes. It's when you have your ascendant in Aquarius or you have Uranus on your ascendant, you have to understand that life is filled with changes and that the key is to ride the waves of change. Does that resonate, Bo?
Yes, absolutely.
So every time we read a chart, we identify the rising sign, and then we select all of our planets, all of our asteroids, because we want our readings and astrology to be as precise as possible. And as a reminder, Ceres, cereal, harvest, food, nurturing. It's the asteroid of food, nurturing, caring for people. Pallas Athena. Pallas is our asteroid of strategy. Vesta is our asteroid of patience. Lilith is our divine warrior, brave warrior goddess asteroid. And Juno is our attachment style. So I've clicked OK, and now we have all of our asteroids here. And you'll notice that Bo has her rising sign in Libra. What does that mean? So the chart ruler is the ruling planet of Libra. And if you look here on the left, Libra is ruled by Venus. What does that mean? That means it's important to Bo to always look at what Venus is doing right now. Right now, Venus is in social and chatty and curious Gemini. So perhaps because Venus is Bo's chart ruler, she may be feeling a little more social, a little more curious, a little more chatty. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does.
You might want to get together with friends more. You might want to hang out on an astrology webinar and learn something, because Gemini, of course, is the sign of intellect. And where does Bo have Leo? Because this is where Mercury is going to be in retrograde. Leo is in Bo's sign, 10th house. Friends, our 10th house is the house of career. Now, MC is our midheaven. It's one of our career indicators, but her midheaven is in the 9th house. What does that mean? When the MC midheaven is in the 9th house, we are either working with foreigners, working with foreign lands, or we're looking to learn, and teach. Do you have a role in your career, Bo, where you're constantly having to learn or constantly having to teach other people things?
Yes, and I deal with people all over the world.
Yeah. So it's more of an international flavor. Because her MC is in the 9th house of foreigners, foreign travel, foreign lands, higher education, and learning and teaching, it's also spirituality. There will be an international flavor, or perhaps she'll work for a foreign company or something like that. So that's just by midheaven in our chart reading, we understand more about what her career is like. Now, even there, though there's not a ton of planets in the 10th house, let's see if you have the Sun and Mars are in the 10th house in Cancer and Leo. So your 10th house starts at 24 degrees of Cancer and includes Mars and Sun. Remember, Mars is the planet of action, courage, determination, and motivation. When our Sun and Mars are together in our 10th house, we work hard. And you know, Mars is, yes, he's the god of war, but he's a leader, right? He's the general. He makes the plans and then he executes the plans, and he has tremendous responsibility. And he's not afraid to take bold risks and be a bold leader. Do you have leadership position in your career, Bo?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And you would excel at that, and you would not have fear in that, because Mars, of course, is the sign of bravery. Now, because Mercury is going retrograde in this house, and because you just had your Mars return in the 10th house, there may have been changes in your career in the last few months because of Mars going retrograde. And then there may be some decisions to be made in the next few weeks, probably until September. And this is a time where you could be rethinking what you do for a living, maybe going for a different position in this firm, a promotion in this firm, or even changing jobs. Does that resonate, Bo?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. There's a lot of change happening at my company, so it makes sense.
Blame it on Mercury and Leo.
Yeah.
Blame it on Mars and Leo. Change. When Mercury and Mars transit your 10th house, there should be many career changes. It's not you. It's the planets. And so because you have Uranus, see the glyph for Uranus here and under the ASC, we are used to having massive changes in our life. Changes, because this is in your natal chart, it would be major changes in your childhood, major changes in your adolescent, major changes in relationships and relationship status, major changes in everything. Why? Because Uranus is in your first house. It's your identity. And these would be changes that could be clearly seen by the outside world. Did you have changes throughout your life that were noticeable to people, the public, not just your inner circle?
No, major changes. Major, major.
Major changes. And there always will be. When we have Uranus close to our ascendant, as I do, there will be massive, major, major changes. So the more comfortable we are about riding the waves of change and anticipating, like, that some of the waves are going to hit us gently and some of the waves are going to knock us down, and we're going to get up and we're going to be smarter and better and wiser and embrace those waves of change. And I think that skill set suits you well, because there will be more questions in the upcoming weeks in the career, because Mercury is going to be in retrograde until August 11th, and then he has to retrace his steps, right? He's going backwards all the way, I think, to 4 degrees of Leo. So 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. So redoing, reviewing, visiting the past. But then he has to go from the 4th degree all the way back to the 16th degree before there's forward progress. So if there's any confusion about your career, or you get an opportunity, or you're interviewing, or you're considering things may be unclear. And then once you're out of retrograde and out of retro shade, the shadow period, things will become clearer and clearer. Does that resonate, Bo?
Yeah, I can't wait for the clarity.
Yeah, fantastic. Remember, Neptune is your friend. Now, if you look here on the left, Neptune is in Aries in retrograde. And Aries can make things foggy or unclear. It is the sign, it's the planet of fog and mist. So if you want more clarity, light a candle and say, I need more clarity, and Neptune will help you out. You're also, I can see that your Chiron is in Aries. If you look here on the left, Chiron is in Aries at 27 degrees. So when you're in your Chiron return, you feel wounded. You may have felt pain and not known why. You're in your Chiron return. See how Chiron right now is at 27 degrees of Aries on the left? You can see it. Your Chiron, natal Chiron, is at 24 degrees of Aries. And you have Aries in your 6th house of daily habits, acts of service, pets, health, and we can talk offline. Specific Chiron is a 11-minute private session, Bob.
Okay.
Chiron return is no joke. So let's put a pin in the Chiron return. I'm just going to put a little note here. And thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you. This is great insight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is T here? KP is here. Is Andrew here?
Yes, Andrew's here.
Hello.
Hi, Mary. Mary, I recognize your voice.
Hello.
Get closer.
Hi. Thank you for being here. Andrew, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
I can.
And you were born on November 19th, 1999 at 11:56 in San Jose?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, now as always, we're going to click on settings and we're going to include all the planets and all the asteroids because we want to be as precise as possible. Thank you again for volunteering. Now, you can see that the ascendant is very cuspy. The ascendant is right between Leo and Virgo. We have an exact birth time for sure.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yep.
So your ascendant is at 2 degrees of Virgo. We were just talking about Virgo. We also have Ceres, nurturing, in the 1st house. So you must be a nurturer. You must be someone who prides himself in being able to help others. Is that true?
Yes, we actually just got a cat to take care of.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. And you have your 6th house, which is about pets and daily habits and commitments is in Aquarius, and Pluto just entered Aquarius. So that's going to be a very, very fortuitous transit for you. So we always look to see who the chart ruler of our ascendant is, and ours is in Virgo. And Virgo, of course, is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Leo right now, currently in retrograde. And why is that important? Let's look right here. You can see, since Virgo is our first house in Andrew's chart, that his 12th house is in Leo. This is where Mars was in retrograde, and this is where Mercury is in retrograde currently. And who are these two glyphs? Do you recognize these glyphs, friends? The upside down horseshoe is our north node. The north node is a node of the moon that indicates where the eclipses will be. And this glyph that looks like a triangle and a popsicle stick, that's Pallas Athena. Our north node, according to this, is at 7 degrees of Leo, the north node being activated by this Mercury retrograde. And Pallas Athena is at 12 degrees of Leo, also being activated by this Mercury in retrograde. So we have two indicators, two bodies being activated in our 12th house. Let's unpack what the 12th house is. Everyone has a 12th house. The 12th house is about sleep, yes. It's also about subconscious and programming, like our dominant thoughts, the way we react to something without even thinking about it. Why is it wonderful to have Pallas Athena in our 12th house? First of all, let's talk about who Pallas Athena is. Pallas is the asteroid of strategy. If you picture the gods and goddesses of the zodiac, all of the planets and asteroids, as like people in a royal court, each with a personality. Think about Mars as the general, right? He has got armor on and he has a sword, and he says to all the other gods and goddesses, who wants to spar with Mars, the general of the army? And everybody tries to do sword fighting with Mars, and everybody loses except for Pallas. Pallas Athena is a teeny tiny little girl. She's a little sprite, and she can barely hold her sword, and she can barely hold her shield. But she gets up there and she fights with Mars, and at the end of the sword battle, it's Pallas Athena who wins. How? Because of the way she strategizes. I'm always curious, I'm always interested. Where is your Pallas Athena? To have Pallas Athena anywhere is a blessing. But here is Andrew with Pallas Athena in his 12th house of subconscious. That means his subconscious brain, he is able to easily strategize and to figure out the best course of action emotionally, mentally, physically, on all planes, with intellect, of course, with learning the knowledge he learns in school and from reading and podcasts. But he's able to strategize and make the right decisions in his gut because his subconscious brain is always calculating the best, most efficient way to get things done. And because Leo is the sign in the zodiac that feels so much tremendous responsibility, that's his subconscious programming. So he's very, very responsible, subconscious programming, 12th house. He's very strategic, subconscious programming, 12th house. And this is his destiny. Why do I say that? Because the North Node represents our soul's purpose, the reason we're incarnated here on Earth. When our North Node is in Leo, we are meant to be responsible in this lifetime. When our North Node is conjunct Pallas, we are meant to be strategic. This is not a man that says, yeah, whatever, you know, take it or leave it. Doesn't take it. We don't just half-ass it, right? You're not a half-ass person, Andrew. You think through things, you want to be responsible, you're taking care of other people. And of course, with Ceres here in the first house, caring for people, providing for people, comforting people is part of your personality. Does that resonate?
I think so, yeah.
Fantastic. Of course, you also have Saturn and Neptune both in retrograde in your 8th house. And that is where your natal moon and your natal Jupiter is. The 8th house is other people's resources. The 8th house is investments, retirement accounts. It's the house of the taboo subjects, right? Nobody really talks about money, but it's definitely resources. The 8th house and the 2nd house is about property and resources and savings account and taxes that have to get paid. That is the 8th house. And that's where Saturn and Neptune are transiting right now through your 8th house. And what's making it bigger, those issues or concerns are making it bigger, is because Jupiter, that number 4, he's our great benefic, but he's also the expander. So he's going to make those challenges or concerns bigger. And you're going to feel those challenges and concerns tremendously because that is where your natal moon is. So if resources have been, or building structure, building foundation, saving for retirement, figuring out your prosperity for the long term, if those have been a recent area of concern or focus, it's because Saturn and Neptune are transiting your 8th house. And that should be something that you think about often because Jupiter's there and that you feel deeply about because your moon is there. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for volunteering, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Mary, can I pull your chart up, please?
Yes, please.
Mary, can you confirm that you can see my screen, please?
Not yet. There it is.
It come
Yes.
through?
Yep.
Okay, so Mary, if we look here at 9 o'clock on your natal chart, you'll see that you're a Gemini ascendant. And
Yes.
Gemini, of course, is ruled by Mercury. So the ruler of your chart is going through retrograde. So this is going to impact you and your overall personality, your overall feelings, because your chart ruler is going through retrograde. Does that resonate?
Yes.
And you have Leo, the zodiac sign that Mercury is going retrograde in your 3rd house of neighbors, siblings, daily habits, neighborhood, communication, all things Mercury, because Mercury is the natural ruler of the 3rd house. The way you think, the way you communicate, that's a Mercury ruled house. So you may be feeling this Mercury retrograde more than others because your chart ruler is Mercury and this Leo is hitting your 3rd house, a Mercury ruled house. So you're going to feel it doubly, triply, and you're going to be feeling that squeeze through the end of August.
Okay.
Now your IC is in Leo at 22 degrees. So your IC is not going to be activated by this retrograde. And I'm really grateful because IC is kind of our inner world. You know how MC, the opposite of IC, MC is our midheaven
Yes.
and what everybody sees in career. IC is our inner worlds, our innermost thoughts and feelings. Your IC is not going to be activated. But your Mars went through retrograde in Leo. You had your Mars return, and that's at 6 degrees. And that is going to be activated again with Leo going forwards, then backwards, and forwards again. And Mars is courage. Mars is taking risks. Mars is about being brave. This could be new ideas. It can also be about little short day trips and travel, trying new things, new hobbies. Third house also rules hobbies.
Hmm.
And where is your North Node? Your North Node is right on the cusp, but it's in Cancer. So with Gemini as your ascendant, yes, you are a sociable person who can talk to anybody and everybody. Yes, you're going to be a lifelong learner. Yes, you're going to be curious, but you can still tend to, if I may, overthink.
Uh-huh.
Because Gemini is an air sign, and Geminis, and all air signs, but Geminis can be a little anxious and think. And with Mercury in retrograde, we're going over the past again and again. Should I have done that? Maybe I should have said that. Not things that happened today, but things that happened a week ago, or a month ago, or a year ago, or 10 years ago. It's very, very important, especially during Mercury retrograde, especially for someone who's a Gemini ascendant, Mercury as your ruler, is to never think, Mary. Just don't think. Please don't think. You can
Set it and
chant
forget it.
mantra, right? You can chant mantra, you can do meditation, you can do yoga, but don't think. And anytime the inner critic comes in, because inner critic really does beat up our air signs more strongly than he beats up the other signs, right? We have 12 zodiac signs, 4 elements, and the 3 air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Those are the 3 zodiac signs that overthink, and that invite the inner critic in. The thoughts in your head are not you. That is your inner critic. Put your inner critic on a cruise to the Maldives and say, have a great time. Don't think, Mary. Because during Mercury retrograde, you could be beating yourself up, and there's absolutely no reason to do that. You're perfect exactly the way you are.
Thank you, Chris.
Does that resonate with you, Mary?
It does, 100%.
No thinking, Mary. No thinking. We're not going to have any thinking.
Okay.
That is unacceptable. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you so much.
You're so kind. Do I have Cassie with us? Yes, here. Hi, Cassie, and welcome. Let me pull. Thank you for volunteering, Cassie, and thank you for emailing me. I have your information. I'm just going to pull it up. Cassie. May 15th?
Yep.
And Cassie, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
I can't yet. No, I can.
Yay! And you can see here that your ascendant is very cuspy. Your ascendant is at 7 degrees of Cancer. So you're right on the border of Cancer and Gemini in the first decan. Every zodiac sign in our natal chart is divided into 3 decans, 3 10-degree periods. And you're in the first decan of Cancer. So what does that mean? So yes, you're a Cancer ascendant, but you also have aspects of the sign before, which is Gemini. So you can be a nurturing person who's very social and chatty and curious. Does that resonate?
Yes, somewhat, yeah.
And also in your first house, the personality that you show the world, you have Jupiter, which is our great benefic, our planet of abundance and luck and prosperity and protection. You also have Chiron, this K with it looks like a key. That's Chiron. Those are the wounds that you must feel to heal. So you are a natural healer. If you have wounds that you feel and heal in yourself, you also are gifted with the ability to heal others. And you also have a Cancer ascendant. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Cancer is the natural ruler of the 4th house of home, nurturing, of healing, of protection, of mother. You might be a healing, nurturing mother to many, 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 many people, and that is your personality.
That makes sense.
And you may use the lessons you learned in being wounded to help others heal. Does that resonate?
Yes.
And compounding that energy, the fourth factor that says amazing healer is that you have Ceres, our asteroid of cereal and harvest and nurturing. It's basically the Cancer of the zodiac in asteroid form, also in Cancer. So it's like a healer, nurturer, mom to all times 4. That's a lot of responsibility. I hope you're scheduling a lot of fun also, Cassie.
Mm. Not as much.
So Cancer is ruled by the moon. So Sun rules Leo, Moon rules Cancer, and then all of our other planets can rule 1 or 2 zodiac signs. But the only zodiac sign that the moon rules is the moon. So your chart ruler is the moon. So let's find the moon in Cassie's chart. It's right here. It looks like it's in the sign of Aquarius, but it's not. It's cuspy. It's in the sign of Capricorn. Who is Capricorn? First of all, moon rules our emotions and feelings. If moon is the chart ruler, we have to know where the moon is. And the moon is sitting in Capricorn next to Saturn. Let's see. Saturn is at 25 degrees of Capricorn in retrograde. And moon is at 27 degrees of Capricorn. When we have 2 planets that are just 2 degrees apart, we call that conjunct. Conjunct. Moon at 27 degrees, Capricorn, Saturn at 25 degrees in retrograde is a very close conjunction. And of course, who is Saturn? Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn is home in Capricorn. So when Saturn is going to transit Capricorn, you're going to go through your Saturn return, the infamous, famous Saturn return. Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn is the king of karma. Saturn is hard work, neutral discipline, non-attachment. And that's how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel work, 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 work. And I don't need rewards or recognition. Because Saturn is so close to your moon, you're a giver, a giver, a giver, a healer, a healer, a healer. And you have this work ethic, this unbelievable work ethic. And then your recognition and your rewards are delayed. Why? 2 reasons. Because Saturn is here managing your, I'm not going to say infringing on, but managing your moon energy. And it's also in retrograde. Whenever we see this R, it means retrograde. Saturn's already the planet of delays, but Saturn in retrograde is delays. So you may have to wait longer to be paid for your efforts. You may have to wait longer to be rewarded for your efforts. Does that resonate, Cassie?
1,000%.
Yeah.
So
So the thing with Saturn, and I have 4 gongs. I play gongs and sound baths. One of my gongs, a pasty planetary gong, is a Saturn gong. I love to align with Saturn. Saturn, I don't have any favorites, but Saturn is, when you align with Saturn, the rewards that you eventually get are better than rewards anyone else can give you. Yes, it's hard work. Yes, it's delays, but it's absolutely worth waiting for. I have to tell you that sincerely. So that's just glancing at your chart. Now, where is Leo? Now, in your chart, Leo rules both the 2nd house and the 3rd house. So the 2nd house, friends, is about things we value. Yes, it's about possessions. If you own an asset, like a savings account or house or a condo or jewelry or paintings or art, but it's also the things that you value and your self-esteem. So when Mercury is going through retrograde in your 2nd house in Leo, what you want to be responsible for, what you value, what you think is important, may be under review. Does that resonate, Cassie?
Yes. Yeah.
The things that you thought were super, super important, like if you wanted to save and save and save and save something, save for A, to invest in A, it may change. You may change completely and decide that you want to go in a completely different direction. And because the second house is also about self-esteem, we may have to dig deeper and do a lot more self-love in the upcoming weeks. This is the call to embrace your inner child. Why do I say that? Because Leo's the natural ruler of the 5th house of children and the inner child. So when we're talking about self-esteem and the inner child, one exercise that we could consider for Leo, Mercury retrograde in the 2nd house, is writing a letter to your inner child saying all the things you would like to hear. You would like to hear now, you would like to hear as a 20-year-old, you would like to hear as a 14-year-old, you'd love to hear as an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old. All the kind, wonderful things you wish someone could say to you, and all the versions of you. The 6-month-old Cassie, the 6-year-old Cassie, the 16-year-old Cassie. It's time to give that Cassie, all of those Cassies, extra, extra love. Self-esteem, inner child, radical self-acceptance. You have to become your own champion. Cassie's the greatest, even if you're saying it in the mirror. You have to be the lion, be the queen of the jungle, take that crown, shine it, add 100 jewels to it, and then put that crown on your head and wear it proudly. That is your homework assignment.
Okay.
Because Mercury in retrograde in the 2nd house can be dangerous business if you let that inner critic out and you second guess yourself and you revisit the past again and again and again and again and again and again. Because Saturn's trying to control your feelings. That's what he does. Saturn conjunct your natal moon here in Capricorn. Mercury in retrograde in Leo in your 2nd house can be super challenging. So you must stay focused. You're feeling that way. You're revisiting the past. You're second guessing yourself because it's Mercury retrograde in Leo in your 2nd house. And the best solution is to double, triple, quadruple down on self-love, radical, authentic, radical self-love and acceptance. Does that resonate?
Yes. Definitely.
Thank you so much for volunteering.
We'll take
I
all your.
really, really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Is Catherine here? Catherine?
Yes, I am. Oh, just a
Hi,
second, my
Catherine.
dog's barking.
All
Stop.
good. All dogs
Okay.
are welcome. I have Ringo McCartney here. I don't know if you can hear her snoring. She is sacked out. It was so hot out today here in New Jersey. Catherine, November 6th.
Yep.
Can you confirm that you can see my screen, please?
Yep.
Yay! And of course, I'm going to include all the asteroids: Lilith, the divine warrior goddess of bravery; Juno, our attachment style; Vesta, our asteroid of patience; Ceres, our nurturing asteroid; and Pallas Athena, our asteroid of strategy. And Catherine is a Virgo ascendant. What does that mean? Well, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the planet that is in retrograde right now, as of 40 minutes from now. So let's find out where your chart ruler is. Our chart ruler is right here. You can see it right next to the sun. And Mercury is in Libra. Who is Libra? Well, Libra is ruled by Venus. And Libra and Taurus, both ruled by Venus, are about treating people fairly. Talking to everyone equally. You could talk to like the CEO of a company or the janitor that cleans exactly the same. Treating all people with kindness and treating people fairly, making sure everyone is heard and understood. Does that resonate?
Yes.
And Virgo as our ascendant is a lot about, yes, acts of service, helping people, helping people, helping people, helping people, and having people rely on us. Why? Because Virgos, I have 4 placements in Virgo, Catherine, let me tell you. We like it done well. We like it done exceptionally well. And we will work 18, 20, 22 hours a day to make sure it gets done right. We can be a little nitpicky. We can be a little bit of a perfectionist, but we go above and beyond, right? Does that resonate?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
It's hard because I have an injury right now, so I have a hard time because I can't get things the way I want them.
yeah. And that has to be challenging. And because Mercury is your chart ruler and Mercury is an anxious planet, that inability to exceed expectations, because Virgo prefers to exceed expectations. Virgo feels comfortable when we're exceeding expectations. Does that resonate?
Yes.
So this injury making it impossible to exceed expectations will make you feel uncomfortable. And having Mercury in retrograde, compiling that anxiety, that stress, is going to be super challenging.
Yeah. I'm feeling it a little bit. Like I said, it just this last probably month, it's just been really hard.
Now, your Mercury is in your 11th house. Who is your 11th house? The 11th house is the house of friends, friendships, community, also wishes and dreams. The 11th house is traditionally ruled by Aquarius. So it's super interesting that this is the Leo and Aquarius axis, because as soon as Mercury is done his retrograde and he goes back to 4 degrees, he's going to be in that direct opposition with Pluto. You can see here that Pluto is at 2 degrees Aquarius. So Mercury is actually going to come out of retrograde and then be in opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. Now you're quite comfortable with Pluto. Why are you so comfortable with Pluto? Because you have Pluto at 24 degrees of Virgo, and your ascendant is at 19 degrees of Pluto. So you are already conjunct your ascendant and Pluto in Virgo. You have Mars here at 28 degrees of Virgo. What does that mean? You have all of these placements in your first house, your personality. So when anything comes up in your life, Mars is our planet of courage, of bravery, of, Mars is the god of war. So he could go to battle for 10 months, for 4 years, and sleep in a tent in the pouring rain under terrible conditions and still keep giving 110% on the battlefield day after day after day after day after day. That's your first house, right? Our entire battalion is blown up, and now we have to, wage a battle in the sea or in the air. No problem. Catherine just pivots, changes all of her resource, and says, okay, let's go, 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 go. Mars is going to give you endless, boundless motivation, determination, energy, courage, and Pluto is going to give you this resilience. Because even if something happens and you're brought down to dust and shards and dust and like shadows, and you just rise from the ashes and you're like, I got this, let's pivot again. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I think it's like something that's kind of been a theme in my life where I've kind of got down to a certain point and then things have just totally just turned a different direction.
The great pivot. That's Pluto in your first house. Pluto in your first house will have massive changes, massive, massive changes. And you're just like, okay, I have a brand new life now. Let's embrace this brand new life. And by the way, let me give it 110% because it's all in Virgo. And Virgo exceeds expectations. Virgo exceeds expectations. I will tell you, the archetype of Virgo is the only one out of the zodiac that I don't agree with. The traditional archetype is the Virgin, It's complete and utter horseshit. It's virtuous. We do things, we exceed expectations. That's what the Virgo energy is giving 110%, no matter what, especially with Mars there, giving you the courage to take risks and to pivot and rebuild your life again and again and again. Now, this retrograde, this Mercury retrograde in your 11th house, you just went through Mars in retrograde in your 11th house. Yes, it's community. Yes, it's friend groups, but it's also wishes and dreams. The things that you may have wished for 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? What does that look like? You have to stop and pause and think, what do I want my life to look like in 8 years? What does it look like? Where do I live? Who am I with? What am I doing? What are my hobbies? Do I wake up and drink matcha? Do I go to the local bakery? Do I live in this house or a different house? You're having a forced pause to reevaluate your future, your wishes and dreams for the future. It's not you. It's Mercury in retrograde in your Leo 11th ruled house of wishes and dreams. Because the things that you may have wished for that you were really focused on 10 years ago may not be relevant. What does this Catherine today want in 8, 10, 12 years? Does that resonate?
Yeah, it's different. Like I had all these things that I thought I wanted, and now I'm thinking that I kind of want to go a different direction.
1,000,000%. And you're 1,000% correct. You're 1,000% correct. Your North Node is in Aries. You see this North Node next to the 5 Saturn and the K key Chiron? You are in your, okay. So you have your Chiron being activated by the current node. You just went through your nodal return as the North Node was in Aries and Libra. So I would say for the last 2 years, things have felt very, very different in your life because the eclipses were activating your nodal axis. Your North Node and your South Node were where the North Node and the South Node is. So there may have been massive, massive changes in the last 2 years. And this Leo in retrograde in the 11th house is forcing you to pause and reevaluate.
Yeah, it definitely is feeling like that.
Who is Catherine right now? What is the most important things in Catherine's life right now? What are my new wishes and dreams? That is the benefit of the time between today, Mercury retrograde, August 11th, yes, but then the shadow period, say September 1st. September 1st, we're going to have a lot more clarity.
That's
So I
awesome.
would be gentle with yourself and I would vision board. I would get as specific as you can. And then remember, we have Lionsgate, right? So we're going to start Leo season in 5 days, the 21st of July. And then we're going to start Leo season. We have the new moon in Leo on July 24th. And then we have Lionsgate. And Lionsgate is when our spiritual sun, Sirius, lines up with our sun. And it's a special time to manifest. When we manifest in Lionsgate, it can be a very rapid transformation, very rapid, effective, amazing transformation. The key to manifesting easily during Lionsgate is to keep your vibrational frequency super, super high. So I know it's frustrating because you have this injury and you're recovering, but no matter what you can do, no matter what, you have to keep your vibrational frequency high because yes, the universe is listening to everything and paying attention to what you're manifesting, but your vibration is what the universe is going to echo. So I do a lot of astrology. I do a lot of sound healing. I play my gongs. I do a lot of yoga and meditation. I chant mantra all the time. I feel like my job is to keep my vibrational frequency high. So I'm showing the universe that I want beautiful things in my life. And so anything you can do to keep your vibrational frequency high and your heart wide open, and then the manifestation becomes easier. Silly little story. I can manifest very, very easily. Unfortunately, my daughter was in the car with me a few weeks ago. She's 24. And we were driving and we were going to park and get something to eat. And when I pulled up to the parking attendant and they said there were 4 spaces left in the parking garage. And I said, is it really 4 spaces? And he's like, yeah, you know, head to the top of the parking garage. And I turned to my daughter and I said, you better grab some tissues. We're heading to the nosebleed. Catherine, by the time we got to the second
No.
she was bleeding. She was like,
Oh,
Mom,
no.
stop doing that. And I felt so badly. But like literally, when your vibrational frequency is super high, or we're in Lionsgate, you can manifest anything. So be careful with your words,
Okay.
especially during Mercury retrograde. Be impeccable with your words and don't joke around with anybody about nosebleeds because it'll happen.
Oh, no.
Yes, I can manifest a parking spot, but I can also manifest nosebleed. She was so mad at me. I was like, I'm sorry, I'll never say anything like that again. So Lionsgate is a great time to manifest that new dream. And I'm really so thrilled for you, Catherine. And I'm so grateful that you volunteered tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have, is T here or KP here? Let me get Alan's information. I'm going to just copy it here. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'm going to input it into my system right now, and then we'll read your chart. I've never been to that area of Washington. I'm sure that it's beautiful. I just had a client go to Mount Shasta, which is perhaps nearby. I love Mount Shasta. I've been only a few times. I'm going to share screen. And can you confirm that you can see my screen, Annalyn?
Yes, I can see it.
Terrific. I'm going to select all of our asteroids so that we have as many details as possible. And the first thing we do is we identify the rising sign. And it looks like this ascendant, you can see the glyph ASC, is right on the cusp between Scorpio and Sagittarius. It looks like the ascendant is at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by our benefic, Jupiter. And so the chart ruler for Annalyn is Jupiter. Now remember, the glyph for Jupiter, you can see it here, it looks like a number 4. Right now, Jupiter is transiting Cancer, but in your chart, Jupiter is in the 1st house. But Jupiter is not alone. Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. The sun is at 7 degrees of Sagittarius. Ascendant is at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. Mercury is at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. When we have 3 or more placements in Sagittarius, oh, you have Pluto at 0 degrees of Sagittarius. When we have 3 or more placements in one house, clustered close together, yes, it's conjunct, but it's also called a stellium. So you have a stellium in Sagittarius. That is an incredibly lucky 1st house. Why? 1st house is the house in your natal chart that rules your entire life. 2nd house is the house of assets and self-esteem. third house is the way we socialize, the way we communicate, siblings and neighborhood. The fourth house is home and mother and childhood and inner child. The fifth house is the house of creativity. The sixth house is daily habits. The seventh house is marriage and partnership. The eighth house is taboo subjects. The ninth house is education, travel, foreigners, foreign lands, spirituality. The 10th house is career. The 11th house is wishes and dreams, also friendships and community. And the 12th house is your subconscious. But our first house is our entire personality. It's the person we show the world. It's who we are. It's the snapshot. If you think of the zodiac and you think of the planets as a car that you drive, the sun is the person driving the car, putting on the blinker, steering the steering wheel, hitting the brake, and hitting the gas. The moon is the emotional GPS. But the outside of the car, the make and model, that's your rising sign. That's the personality you show the world. Are you driving a little hybrid? Are you driving an electric car? Are you driving a giant truck souped up with special wheels? Are you driving a Cadillac convertible? Your ascendant is the outside. It's the car you're driving. Does that resonate? Your first house is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the natural ruler of the ninth house of education, of learning, of farms, of foreign lands, of spirituality. And you have your chart ruler, because Sagittarius is ruled by lucky and benefic Jupiter, in your first house. That's pretty lucky. Do you feel lucky, Annalyn?
I don't. Sometimes I really don't feel lucky. I feel like kind of a burden sometimes when I'm told I'm a first house stellium. I feel really self-conscious.
Let's take a look at your North Node, which is your soul purpose. Your North Node is in Libra. That's treating all people very, very, very fairly. Your Chiron is also in Libra. So when Chiron is in Libra and North Node is in Libra, remember who, Vesta is also in Libra. So you have a stellium in Libra. Chiron, wounds we must feel and heal. Vesta at 18 degrees, Vesta is our asteroid of patience, and North Node in Libra. You have 3 placements in Libra, and these are in your 10th and 11th houses. So Libra in the 11th house, Libra in the 10th house, Chiron in the 10th house, North Node in the 11th house. When we have a Libra stellium, first of all, sometimes we put other people's needs ahead of our own. Yes, we're fair to everybody because remember, Libra is the scales. It's the archetype of justice. Legal contracts, yes. People with the stellium and Libra might even want to get into law or advocating for the underdog, right? You could be a social worker advocating for orphans with that stellium and Libra. You could be an assistant district attorney trying to be a public defender, or, there's a better society helping people. So even though your first house is with lucky and abundant Jupiter, and you have all these amazing, amazing planets in your first house, you have a wound in Libra, and you also have your North Node in Libra. And Vesta in Libra. See the V with the S in it? That's Vesta. Where is your Pallas Athena? No, your Pallas Athena is also in Libra. You have 4 placements in Libra. So Libra roots for the underdog. If you have it easy, you might feel guilty because you have 4 placements in Libra. Remember, Libra is the scales and it's justice, but it's making sure that everyone is taken care of. With a stellium in Libra, even if you're allergic to pickles, if everybody wants pickles, you'll order pickles for everyone and maybe even eat them. It can be a really super challenging placement. So if you're feeling any angst, it's because of this North Node, Vesta, Pallas, and Chiron in Libra. That's exactly why.
That resonates a lot. It's really crazy because I'm
I'm
also
sorry.
in grad school for social work.
You what?
I'm in a grad school for social work, but it's been challenging.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Because you genuinely, 1,000,000% feel like you need to help people. You need to help those that can't help themselves. And you may feel guilty if you're not doing that. Another way to use that energy is to do a program like the Big Brothers of America, Big Sisters of America, where you can like pick up a child from an area that has less abundance and spend time with that child. Those could be things that could really be healing, because reconciling those emotions and those desires is important. Why? Because you have Chiron, the wounds you must feel and heal, in the sign of Libra. But with Pallas, Athena, we must be strategic with that energy. Remember, Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus wants harmony, but Venus is also about the aesthetic. It's about cozy, soft things. It's about beautiful smelling things. It's about like pretty paint colors and soft silk pillowcases. It's about beauty and harmony. It's not just making sure that like every child in the foster care system has a wonderful advocate, or anybody that has a mental health crisis has to be able to have a wonderful therapist for free. And those are very admirable things. But with a stellium in Libra, we must also remember to take care of ourselves. Like, you literally cannot put on everyone's oxygen mask and then not put yours on at all. It is essential with a stellium 4 placements in Libra to feed your Venus, feed your Venus, feed your Venus, feed your Venus. If you're not feeding your Venus and putting yourself first, then you cannot live your soul's destiny. You cannot use your Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter all in Sagittarius. You can't take the big stage. And Sagittarius really wants you to take the big stage. It wants you to have broad horizons. It wants you to think big picture. It's about foreign travel. It's about foreigners. It's about higher education. It's also about spirituality, things you can't see but that you feel. It's faith in like everything's going to work out perfectly. And it's about optimism. With all of those planets, including Jupiter, your chart ruler, in the first house, Sagittarius, it's about optimism and confidence that it's all going to work out exactly the way it's meant to work out. It's having a faith. Does that resonate? So in your Leo ruled house, you do not have any planets there, but you have Mercury transiting there. And your Leo placement are in both your 8th house and your 9th house. We've talked a lot about the 9th house being the house of foreigners, foreign travel, higher education, learning, teaching, and optimism, spirituality. But the 8th house is the house of savings account, retirement account, providing for oneself in the future. It's about all taboo subjects like sex and pregnancy and death, and those long-term investments, those taboo subjects may be on your mind. Why? Because Mercury rules the mind, and Mercury is transiting your 8th house in the first 15 degrees of Leo. Your entire Mercury retrograde is about assets, other people's assets, taxes that are due, credit cards, retirement accounts, and that is going to be a reoccurring theme. Does that resonate?
It does, yeah.
So because of your stellium in the first house in optimistic Jupiter ruled Sagittarius, we need to feel confident that we are going to be provided for. Now, when Jupiter is in the 2nd house, you're never going to be poor a day in your life. You have Jupiter in the 1st house, which means you're going to be protected forever and ever and ever. Jupiter in the first house is that no matter what gets thrown at you, you are safe. I like to think because Jupiter is about spirituality and things you cannot see, faith, religion, that the mantra, I am guided and guarded, guided and guarded, guided and guarded. And I use that mantra a lot because my sun is in the 9th house. My sun and Mercury are in the 9th house, and that is the Jupiter ruled house. That's the traditional house of Sagittarius. So you can take my mantra if you want, but just having positive affirmations like, I am guided and guarded, I'm guided and guarded, I am guided and guarded, and reminding yourself to be very kind to yourself and loving and do all of those self-care rituals that Venus requires. 4 placements in Libra is going to make you prioritize other people's needs. Please don't. Please take care of yourself first. And there are many, many, many ways to use that Libra energy. You don't necessarily have to be a therapist. If that doesn't feel aligned, you can always adjust and pivot.
Okay.
One of the other interesting things is that, you know, during this retrograde, Venus, who is at 14 degrees of Gemini, is actually in a sextile. So, you know, Venus rules Taurus, Venus rules Libra, and Venus is in a sextile with Mercury right now. Mercury is currently transiting at 15 degrees of Leo, and Venus is in Gemini at 14 degrees. So Mercury and Venus are sort of like doing a tango. Like they're dancing and like helping each other and cheering each other up and like telling jokes to each other. So even though our mind is reviewing the past and reviewing all these topics specifically for you in the 8th house about money and assets and debt and shared resources and taxes and taboo subjects, you also have Venus there kind of softening the blow. Venus, Leo also rules the heart and the spine. So it's good to do like meditations and yoga kriyas that have to do with your heart chakra, or even activating your hand chakras and putting them on your heart. That's a lovely way to activate your Leo energy. Does that resonate?
It does. It really does.
Feel
Thank
free to
you.
come to me with any other questions. And thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Let me make sure if we have any other volunteers. Hi, Renata. Renata, do I have you in my system?
Hi, Chris. I emailed my info, but if you haven't received, I can type on the chat if that works for you.
Fantastic. I would so appreciate it. You're so kind.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And do I have KP or TN here? Got it. I'm going to enter your information
Thank you.
right now. Thank you for typing out the month. Let me make sure that I share my screen. Renata, darling, can you make sure that you can see my screen?
Yeah, and the information is
Great.
correct. Thank you.
Perfect. As always, I'm going to select our asteroids. And if anyone has had their reading and needs to go, I respect your time. I value your time. So again, here our ascendant at 9 o'clock looks like it's quite cuspy. It's on the cusp of both Libra and Scorpio. So let's verify. So 29 degrees and 37 minutes of Libra is only 23 minutes from the next zodiac sign, which is Scorpio. So yes, we are a Libra ascendant. So yes, Venus is our chart ruler. Now, friends, let's talk for just a minute. I'm certified in many, 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 many different kinds of astrology. One of the astrology that I study is Vedic astrology. And in Vedic, you would absolutely still be a Libra ascendant. You would be a different degree, but you would absolutely still be a Libra ascendant. I always like to check and see if, according to Vedic astrology, you would be the sign prior, but you would be a Libra in both Vedic or Western astrology. So truly, Venus is your chart ruler, and your Venus is in Leo. What does that mean? That means your Venus is going to be activated by this retrograde. Now you can see that your Saturn is also in Leo at 26 degrees, but Saturn will not be activated in this retrograde for Mercury, because Mercury is going to be retrograde from 15 degrees of Leo to 4 degrees of Leo. So in September, Mercury will go and activate your Saturn, but it's not relevant right now. So let's take a look. With Venus as our chart ruler in our Leo ruled house, it looks like the first degrees of Leo are going to be in our 10th house of career. And your MC is here. Let's just check. Your MC is still in Cancer with your Mercury, and your Mars is there at 7 degrees of Virgo. So it looks like it's all about your career. Are there things that are changing in your career, your perspective in your career? Are you looking to make a lateral move or change careers in some way?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
I'm planning,
you know,
to change career. Yeah.
yeah. So it's challenging when Mercury is in retrograde because we might not have clarity, and because we're reviewing, and especially Leo is a sign, a fire sign. It can be combative, right? It can be fiery because it is a fire sign. So it may be hard to get clear-headed and have a tremendous amount of clarity about the changes. So it's a good time to pause and reflect about what you want it to look like, but perhaps not sign on the dotted line until the retrograde is over after August 11th. So, traditionally we don't sign contracts when Mercury's in retrograde, or there's a Mercury retrograde in Libra specifically because Libra rules contracts. But your ascendant is in Libra, right? Your ascendant. And so that's why I'm bringing up contracts. So you will absolutely have more clarity in September. Yes, you should evaluate everything, every opportunity, go on all the interviews. And I think with Leo there, you're going to have a lot of confidence to make a move. It's good to have lists of all the different positives and negatives on each opportunity. I'm getting that you're going to have more than one opportunity, and there's going to be a decision to be made. It's not going to be like you're going after one job and you have to decide to stay or go. There may be definitely different things that are offered to you. With Leo in retrograde, it's a little hard because the energy comes up of treason. Let me explain. So because Leo is the king of the jungle, the queen of the jungle, right? And it's about royalty and the kingdom. There's this energy, because Mercury rules the mind, that of betrayal, of treason. So unfortunately that leaks in a little bit into our life. We have to remember that you are the most important thing in the world. Your happiness, your prosperity, your peace. There's nothing more important. But it could be perceived in Mercury retrograde in Leo that you leaving your company might be like you're abandoning us. There might be that energy. And you just have to transmute that and be like, that's the planets. That's not reality, right? Obviously, the people that care most about you, including you, want what's best for you. But it could feel like your allegiance is being tested. And that is Mercury retrograde in Leo, where they're looking for allegiance to the king, looking for allegiance to the queen. It's this overall thing running in the background where an argument with an old friend will make you feel like off with their head, right? Banished from the land. You may feel that regal energy. It also, there's so many benefits to Mercury in Leo because of the courage, right? Mercury rules the spine and Leo rules the spine and the heart. And it's about the courage of a lion. It's about treating yourself like the queen, like I deserve the very, very best. Like I want the crown. I want the long regal cape. I want the beautiful clothes. You know, Leos are traditionally very charismatic, very beautiful. And we want to buy a new outfit or buy a new dress, right? The fifth house is also the natural, Leo rules the fifth house. And the fifth house is about romance. It's about fun. It's about adventures. It's not just about the inner child and children, but that's traditionally like from the ages of 18 to 25 when we're going out all the time. That's Leo energy. That's like, I'm down to have a good time. And, you know, because you have Leo in the 10th house, this career should bring you bliss and happiness. This is work that doesn't feel like work. Does that resonate? That's the benefit of
Yes.
having Leo in that 10th house. Not everybody has that. I mean, Capricorn is the traditional ruler of the 10th house, and that's work is work. That could be like factory work. Capricorn in the 10th house could be like thankless work where we're like stamping every day and never having lunch and yada da da da. But Leo in the 10th house is like, I'm going to work, but I'm going to laugh more all day because I'm with fun, awesome, amazing people. Does that resonate?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits. We have, it's 8:30, so anybody that has been read, I completely respect and honor your time. And if you need to go, then I respect your choice. And thank you for being here. And thank you, thank you, thank you for all your volunteers. I have time for one more chart, and I did have Kate sign up earlier. Kate, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi, thank you for being here, Kate.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that you can see my screen.
I can.
And we are going to select our asteroid so that we can have a very precise reading. And you can see that Kate is absolutely clearly a Libra ascendant. That means Venus is her ruling planet. And just like Renata, we have Leo in the 10th house. So our theme tonight is about Mercury in retrograde. This could be a time of reviewing your career, and even a side hustle, even some side businesses. Could be something that you're brainstorming about, that you're contemplating. Remember, Leo is the archetype of the lion. Lion is the queen of the jungle, the king of the jungle. The lion is brave, right? The lion is not cowardly. The lion takes risks and has confidence. So when Mercury is in retrograde in Leo, it can be a time to review many options and maybe pull the trigger, or maybe just throw it all out there and see what comes back. It could be a time of sending many merchants to different lands and seeing out of the 100 different places that your ships sail to, which ones make the best trade agreements. Because you're the queen. You're literally the queen. And so I would say if you have Mercury in retrograde in your 10th house, that you should let all of the ships sail to many different countries and send your best people out there and see how many trade allegiances you can acquire. Does that resonate?
It sure does. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Mhm.
And remember, this house, this 10th house, has been under scrutiny, under review. There's been changes in your career for the last, 6-9 months, because this is where Mars was in retrograde. You were thinking about change while Mars went forward in Cancer, went forward in Leo, then backwards in Leo, and backwards in Cancer, then forwards in Cancer, and then forwards in Leo. So we've already done review. We've already stepped up and embodied this courageous, energy of the lion, the king of the jungle, the queen of the jungle. And now Mercury is here. Mercury rules our mind. And Mercury is only being retrograde in Leo from 4 degrees of Leo to 15 degrees of Leo till August 14th. And then on August 11th, forgive me, it's August 11th, Mercury is going to be in opposition down here with Aquarius. And what is Aquarius? Aquarius is where Pluto is. And when Mercury in retrograde in Leo stops at 4 degrees of Leo, and it's in an opposition with Pluto. Look at where Pluto is. Pluto's at 2 degrees of Aquarius. What is Pluto? Rebirth. Radical change. So between now, July 17th, and August 11th, there's going to be a review period. We're sending all our ships, we're sending all our merchants out to all the foreign lands. And then come August 11th, we're going to be in that direct opposition with Pluto. And there's going to be a shift, a massive shift. And then throughout the end of the summer and into the fall, we're going to have a tremendous amount of clarity. Now remember, Mercury is our planet of anxiety. Yes, it's our planet of communication. Yes, it's the planet of information coming in, information processing, information coming out, either in the written word, verbally, texts, emails, contracts, transportation, technology, siblings, neighborhood. But it's also an anxious planet. It's a quick moving planet. It's like the awkward teenager who doesn't really know where to stand, and they go to the dance, but they didn't go with a friend, and they're moving around, they're seeing all these other people, and they're kind of anxious about it. So there may be a little bit of anxiety. Things might not feel very clear because Mercury in retrograde, of course, is going back and revisiting the past and reviewing and reviewing and reviewing. One time in Mercury in retrograde, I got hit by a car. And I got hit by a car. Of course, Mercury rules transportation. And I was like, Mercury in retrograde, here we go. And the woman was very kind, and I had my car fixed. But it's very common to have little communication mishaps, to have a little bit of anxiety, to have maybe our tires need to be checked, or we have to make sure there's plenty of gas in our car, or we leave extra time to get to the airplane or the train. There may be Mercury themes that come up between now and August 11th. The good news is because Mercury is such a quick planet, and it goes through all 12 signs of the zodiac 3 or 4 times a year, it's a very short transit. And it seems like you're really going to be poised to reap all the benefits in the career sector key. Does that resonate?
It really, really does. Thank you.
Yay! Okay, last call for KP and TN. Is KP and TN with us? Thank you for volunteering. If you want to come to me after the webinar and get your chart done, I'd be happy to accommodate you. I just want to say thank you to all our volunteers. I know I did run a little over, and so I appreciate your patience and your participation. I love everybody's energy. I know you're going to do great with Mercury in retrograde in Leo. Thank you. Until next time. Namaste. Thank you.